Master Ancient One, I really don't dislike the boring cultivation, I really go out to improve my strength faster. Master Ancient One, I didn't want to see the prosperity of the world, so I ran away. Master Ancient One, can you quickly release me from this mirror world? In the practice hall of Kamar Taj, in the mirror dimension here. A young face was constantly muttering to himself while flipping through a book in his hand. His name is Chin Hao, 24 years old. A time traveler. The first time Ancient One saw it 2 years ago, he was forcibly drawn to Kamar Taj to practice spells. Chin Hao still remembers what Ancient One said when they first met. The magical energy we absorb comes from other dimensions of the multi-universe, and use this energy to cast magic and even conjure weapons. And you possess the innate magic constitution. Practice with me, when the time comes, you will be the supreme mage here. Born to be magical constitution. Practice with Ancient One. Supreme Mage. These words one after another made him happy for a long time. He is not ignorant of the dangers of the Marvel world. Being able to learn spells from Ancient One is an excellent place to protect yourself. When the time comes, after you have learned it, you can still go out and pretend to pick up girls. Go to the peak of life. How cool. He understood why Ancient One would say that he was born with a magical constitution. Magic is about drawing energy from other dimensions. He comes from another world, and his body is a space channel leading to another world. In other words, others still need to absorb magic power, but he doesn't need it at all. The whole body is full of energy from another dimension. Most importantly, he also has a system that is necessary for traversers. Divine grade pickup binding system, equipment, item picking and binding, unique. Knowledge, experience, skills, constitution class pickup and binding, copy. Bound ability, 1. Longevity, 24 years, 666 years, you can live as long as Ancient One without practicing cultivation. 2. Separation of spirit and body. Let the spirit body separate from physical activities. Bound items 1. Magic jumping boots 2. Sling ring. When Chin Hao came into contact with Ancient One for the first time, he picked up longevity. That was bound to Ancient One. This excited him for a long time. Longevity. 666 years of lifespan. This is still the case when there is no practice and no side effects. His longevity doesn't have to draw the power of the dark dimension Dormammu like Ancient One did. He was simply absorbing the ages that the Ancient One had already lived. At that time, it was also bound with an item, sling ring. Others will be trapped without the sling ring. His sling ring is bound directly and will never be lost. This made him think that he was the man of destiny, and he would fight like other traversers. Learn a spell a day. 10 days to become a big mage. Achieve Supreme Mage in 1 month. Well, this is all his imagination. In fact, he didn't learn a single spell for a whole year. Ancient One told him that although he has the magical constitution, he has not yet understood the true meaning of magic. So can't learn spells. So, this year, Chin Hao has only one task. Read a book. Read a book. Read a book. The daily task is to read a book. Even more hard than the college entrance examination. He was even imprisoned in a mirror dimension for this. What else can you do here without reading a book? This happens because he needs to learn from scratch. Various languages, some inexplicable knowledge. After all, the ancient books here are really troublesome. There are also characters like Sanskrit, which is not something he can learn in a year or two. Fortunately, a year later, he finally picked up and bound to the second ability. Separation of spirit and body. In other words, Chin Hao prefers to use the Oriental term, soul astral. After that, it was picked up and bound to jumping boots. At the same time, he also understood the function of the system. One place, one person, repeatedly, squeeze the wool, only once a year. In other words, if he wants to obtain all the abilities of the Ancient One from the Ancient One, it will take him who knows how many years. After all, Ancient One has too many abilities. However, he also noticed the systematic explanation. One place, one person can only squeeze once. Here are all the disciples of Ancient One. What they have learned is the same as Ancient One. If he wants to grab another ability, he can't do it. But what about leaving Kamar Taj? That's why he always wanted to leave Kamar Taj and try somewhere else. Maybe he could get more wool by going to other places? Besides, at the moment is not long away from the big battle behind. If he can't get more abilities, he doesn't think he can survive. Ding! There was a sound like breaking glass. Chin Hao looked up and saw the situation outside. A cool bald mage is walking in from outside the mirror. Qin Hao, have you finished reading the book? Ancient One mage opened the mirror dimension and saw Qin Hao, who was still muttering to himself. Master Ancient One, you locked me up for so long again, let me go out. Seeing Ancient One coming, Qin Hao grabbed her arm again. He is going out. It's really hard to stay here. The key to getting dizzy from reading is that the efficiency is still extremely low. If it goes on like this, he thinks he's going crazy. Ding. Ancient One mage's spacegate magic is detected, whether to pick up the binding. At this moment, the voice of the system sounded in Qin Hao's mind. He was taken aback. Yes. Pick up binding magic, spacegate. As soon as the sound came out, another magic was bound to the system. But at the moment, Qin Hao thought of another question. Have I been here 2 years? He looked at Ancient One mage, his expression became a little strange. Yes, you have been here for 2 years. Ancient One looked at the loving eyes of this child, who made it impossible for her to predict the future. Has a natural magical constitution, but it seems that the brain is not very good. The speed of comprehending and learning magic is a bit slow on the whole. But she is in no hurry. It's too late to spend decades slowly cultivating him. Although there is another mage with great ability in the future. But wouldn't it be better to train one more supreme mage to face the ruler of the dark dimension like Dormammu? The more mage there are, the stronger the strength, the more able to protect this world. On the other hand, this child may have been a bit rebellious because he was young. After going up the mountain for a year, I was constantly clamoring to go down the mountain. This matter is a bit troublesome, and she needs to be constantly guided. She couldn't let such a person with extraordinary abilities be depraved or even used because of the pollution of the world of mortals. Master Ancient One, I have learned the spacegate. Qin Hao looked at Ancient One mage and said seriously. Oh? Really? When Ancient One heard the words, at the moment was also a little happy. Learned the space door, which is an ability that mage uses the most. Whether they are rushing or trapped in the mirror space, the spacegate can allow them to reach their destination quickly. Yeah, I'll show you a show. After Qin Hao finished speaking, the excitement began to unfold in the mirror space. A space door shining with yellow sparks quickly appeared in the mirror space. And outside the space door is the training ground of Kamar Taj. This is the place he is most familiar with, because in the past 2 years, what he saw in the mirror space was the scene outside. He can even close his eyes to build everything here in his mind. You are worthy of being a natural magic constitution, your casting speed is as fast as mine. Ancient One looked at the portal and at Qin Hao's astonishing casting speed. She was shocked. With a wave of his hand, the portal was cast. This speed, only she can do it on Kamar Taj. Qin Hao didn't know how to respond to Ancient One. Your own casting speed is your magic directly copied by the system. That's right, you learned the spacegate, but you didn't even think about leaving, instead you wanted to ask me for instructions. This proves that your mind has gradually quieted down. Mage needs such a quiet state of mind, and then he can learn more magic more quickly. This state of mind can also quickly complete the spellcasting during the battle. Ancient One looked at Qin Hao with encouragement in his eyes. This disciple, in the past year, as long as he is not locked in the mirror dimension, he will think about running outside. And the reasons are even more bizarre. What for stronger? What a worldly experience. It is better to travel thousands of miles than to read thousands of books. In short, what he said made many mage apprentices who came to Kamar Taj to study leave happily. But she didn't stop those people from leaving. But today Qin Hao learned about the spacegate and did not leave. This really surprised her. In her opinion, Qin Hao's mood has matured. What Master Ancient One said is that I have indeed comprehended the state of mind that Master said. Next, I will learn magic from Kamar Taj honestly. Qin Hao at the moment also looked serious. Yes, I will study hard. When you leave, I will open the portal and leave. Today is the 2 years since you went to Kamar Taj. Your brother Moto asked you to get together. Today you learned the spacegate again. It is indeed worth celebrating. You go. After Ancient One finished speaking, he took Qin Hao through the portal. Outside, Moto is waiting for Qin Hao. This senior brother is just too rigid and disciplined. This is why he couldn't help blacken when he learned that Ancient One mage had a contract with Dormammu. However, at the moment can just take advantage of the other side. Brother Moto. Junior brother Qin Hao, you have been practicing in the mountains for 2 years. Today, I will borrow you from Master Ancient One for half a day to take a stroll in the small town outside and fulfill your wish of going out and seeing. Brother Moto has a heart. Qin Hao thanked the other party politely. After all, after a while, he escaped by himself, and the other party still had to worry about himself. Wandered around the town near Kamar Taj. Brother Moto, I want to go to the toilet. Okay, I will wait for you. Entering the toilet, Qin Hao waved his hand, and a portal opened directly. Then stepped in. Boom, boom. As soon as he walked over, Qin Hao heard countless gunshots. What the hell, where is this? Feeling the gunshots here, Qin Hao was filled with fear. What the hell, gunshots, mage is crispy. This is definitely a bad start. Could it be that Master Ancient One knew that I would be in danger going down the mountain, so that's why he didn't let me go down the mountain? Sure enough, while he was in a daze, two heavily armed soldiers had already turned around from the corner. In their hands, the two submachine guns exuded the ultimate murderous intent. Damn it. Qin Hao is holding a sling ring and is about to cast a portal to leave. This way. Boom. Puff. As soon as Qin Hao raised his hand, the person facing him decisively opened his gun. A tingling feeling instantly spread through Qin Hao's body. What the hell, is this an anesthetic? Qin Hao wobbled, as if he was about to fall. Master Ancient One has never let himself go down the mountain. Is it because he foresaw his own danger? Do you know that you will have problems as soon as you step down the mountain? I ran away quietly today, but encountered such a horrible thing as soon as I showed up. Gun. Narcotics. How did I come to such a dangerous place? Step aside. At this moment, there was a roar from behind him. A guy wearing a vest with 3 terrifying and sharp long claws on each hand rushed over. Wolverine? Qin Hao's already confused head became even more confused. How did you meet Wolverine? What the hell is this? Ah! Wolverine rushed all the way, and Qin Hao staggered and leaned against her. The two soldiers saw Wolverine and decisively shot Wolverine. Pissed. But Wolverine faced the opponent's bullet, and the sharp claws of both hands penetrated into the opponent's body. Ah, painful self-healing comes into play. Wolverine growled. Who are you? Looking at Qin Hao, who was leaning against the wall in civilian attire, Wolverine pointed at Qin Hao with her sharp claws. I come from Kamar Taj, be careful. Before the confused Qin Hao could introduce himself, 2 more people turned around from the corner. They raised their guns and fired another round at Logan. This shuttle is actually live ammunition. Logan at the moment didn't sense any danger from Qin Hao. So he stood in front of Qin Hao and helped him block all the bullets. But under the impact of the bullet, his body also kept retreating, and finally leaned against Qin Hao's body. Ding. Detected Wolverine's self-healing ability, whether to pick up the binding. The moment Wolverine touched Qin Hao, the system sounded again. Yes. Bind Wolverine ability, self-healing. A strange force spread through his body. He was already a little dazed due to the anesthetic, but his head gradually cleared up. Self-healing. This is gradually consuming and repelling these medicinal effects. This is a skill that I have fantasized about countless times. F*K. Sure enough to leave Kamar Taj. As soon as I left, another skill was bound. Still a magic skill. Divine grade pickup binding system. Equipment, item picking and binding, unique. Knowledge, experience, skills, constitution class pickup and binding, copy. Bound ability, 1. Longevity, 24 years, 888 years, with the longevity of Ancient One, self-healing factor prolongs life again. 2. Separation of spirit and body. Let the spirit body separate from physical activities. 3. Space door. It can open a space door leading to other places. 4. Self-healing. When the body is traumatized, it can recover quickly, delay aging and prolong life. Bound items 1. Magic jumping boots 2. Sling ring. Looking at the introduction in the system, there was a smile on his face. Obtained the self-healing ability, and the lifespan was increased to 888 years. This is simply cool. One clip of 2 warriors was quickly exhausted. When the opponent was reloading, Wolverine Logan swooped and the 2 warriors were stabbed to death again. No matter where you are from, leave now. Wolverine Logan greeted, then headed away. Today, he is going to start a killing spree. Today, more people must be saved. With the other party's departure, Qin Hao at the moment also wanted to leave. It's too dangerous here. Ah. But at this moment, a terrifying voice directly penetrated all the rooms. The terrifying lethality made it impossible for Chin Hao to cast spells to open the portal. Feel the horrible sound. Seeing the battle at the moment again, Chin Hao seemed to understand what was going on now. The story of the old X-Men, Stryker's attack on Professor X's school. This time, many mutants were caught. They attacked here just for Professor X's brainwave strengthening machine. Later, in order to save everyone, Jean fell into the water in the acrylic lake, until finally the Phoenix Force lost control. I traveled to the world of Marvel. Is it connected to the worldview of X-Men? Chin Hao at the moment seemed to understand something. At this moment, the piercing and terrifying cry finally stopped. Chin Hao shook his head and finally recovered a little. He got up and ran towards where Wolverine had come from. There must be mutants over there. Turning around a long corridor, I saw a lot of mutants here. The leader is none other than Steel. They are constantly rushing towards a secret passage at the moment. Hey, this way. Chin Hao looked at the crowd. He held the sling ring and directly opened a portal. On the other side of the portal, as Kamar Taj. Who are you? Seeing the sudden appearance of Chin Hao and the portal emitting yellow light, everyone was a little worried. I'm Mage from Kamar Taj. Everyone leave. Steel stepped through the portal first. He went to look at the other side, which was a place he had never seen before. After checking it, he found no danger there. Come here, there is no danger here. Hearing what Steel said, a group of little mutants hurried towards the portal. But because of this time delay, a group of soldiers rushed over. When they saw this portal, they shot without saying a word. Their target is Chin Hao, who cast the spell, da da da. Da da da. Careful. Steel watched the horror from the other side of the portal. Careful. Steel's exclamation sounded. Go. Don't hesitate. I can withstand it. Chin Hao looked at the terrified little mutant and shouted loudly. Puff. 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 The sound of continuous anesthesia bombs hitting the body sounded. Under Chin Hao's physical protection, the bullets missed others and all hit him. Ah. A howl of pain came from his mouth. F*K. Is this how Wolverine feels every time she gets hurt? Chin Hao from at the moment fully felt the pain. The most important thing is that after the pain, a strong tingling sensation came. His eyelids gradually became heavy. That stable portal, at the moment, even appeared unstable. Mage. Don't. Steel was on the other side of the portal and saw Chin Hao physically blocking the anesthesia bomb to buy time for the little mutants. He was extremely angry at the moment. It was because of their delay just now that the opponent had seized the opportunity. If they entered the portal immediately, nothing would happen. And now, the mage who saved them was hit by a series of tranquilizer bombs. I guess I'm going to faint soon. The point is, can he survive such a large dose of anesthetic? Fact. Why don't you fall? Change live ammunition. Change live ammunition. At this moment, the soldiers chasing him clearly noticed that this man was abnormal. Dozens of anesthesia bombs hit his body, but he still hasn't fallen. This time, all soldiers replaced live ammunition directly. Da da da, da da da, intensive gunshots suddenly sounded. Steel, covered in metal, stepped through the portal, trying to block the money order for everyone. But when he came over, Chin Hao's body was already shaking violently from the bullets. No. He resisted the attack from the other side, and pulled Mage back to Kamar Taj, who had been hit by dozens of anesthesia bombs and an unknown number of shots. Chin Hao returned to Kamar Taj, and the entire portal suddenly disappeared. Fact. Shit. Where does this portal lead to? Report. Report the situation here. The team of soldiers over there watched the group of dozens of little mutants escape from their eyes. At the moment, they also looked angry. For other mutants, once anesthesia is fired, they will be unconscious within 5 seconds. What's up with this mutant? After dozens of hits, he managed to rescue everyone. Most importantly, they changed live ammunition. The shooting speed of live ammunition is even more terrifying. In the 10 seconds just now, each of them poured out nearly 1 magazine of bullets. But the opponent actually resisted. How about this mage? He, with so many bullets, can he still live? Quick. Find a way to save people. Help, is there anyone? Come on, help. The chaotic situation here soon attracted many mage who were practicing in Kamar Taj. Junior brother Chin Hao. It's junior brother Chin Hao. What? Isn't senior brother Chin Hao wandering outside the small town? Why did he come here? No, junior brother Chin Hao is injured. Hurry up and save people. How to save? No one here knows healing techniques. All the mages looked at the moment's Chin Hao, but they were helpless. Please, save him, he was shot for us. Please, save him. A group of small mutant at the moment begged for mercy. None of them will treat this anesthesia situation. At the moment put all their hopes on this fellow mage who can open the portal. But Steele looked at everything in front of him and leaned directly against the corner. Dozens of anesthetics hit the body. It's already a miracle that at the moment didn't immediately pass out. What's more, dozens of bullets hit him later. If he wasn't beaten into a sieve on the spot, he was already physically strong. Save people? Who can save such an injury? Unless it's Logan's self-healing ability. However, Logan's self-healing ability, they have only discovered one for so long. How could this mage have it? Moreover, I have always heard that mage is a relatively weak profession. At least that's what Professor X says. He saved us all. It's all my fault. If everyone had come over earlier, those soldiers wouldn't have discovered it. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. If I had broken in the back, those bullets wouldn't have hit him. Why? Why did we obviously train defensively, but I didn't use it? Steele muttered to himself angrily and painfully. They trained, and they obviously had defense. But when you are really in danger, forget everything. Hearing Steele's words, all the little mutants looked at Chin Hao, who was screaming in pain, with sadness on their faces. If only they were faster. Faster. Just need to be quick. They can get in here. Then the man who rescued them would not have to use his body to fight those enemy bullets. Blame me. If I had been quicker, he would have been shot less. It's also my fault. If I could use my super ability at that time, I could help him share a little bit. A crowd of little mutants weeping constantly. Zzz. At this time, a portal suddenly appeared. Immediately afterwards, a figure appeared on the scene. It was Ancient One Mage. I just felt the chaos in Kamar Taj, and I also felt that there are many more people here. What's going on? Asked immediately after Ancient One arrived. Someone broke into Kamar Taj. This is her place. Every move can't escape her induction. Master Ancient One, it's junior brother Chin Hao, he's going to die. Master Ancient One, hurry up and save junior brother Chin Hao. He was shot. When everyone was explaining, Ancient One came to Chin Hao's side. She saw Chin Hao covered in blood. At the moment, he is roaring constantly. The sound of pain makes that pain accessible to all. They even wondered in their hearts, wouldn't it be better for junior brother Chin Hao to die directly? Ancient One looked at this disciple, her heart trembled. For a long time, she couldn't see the other party's past and future. Everything about Chin Hao seemed to be shrouded in a mist in her eyes. Only occasionally can see brief clips of each other. The point is that in these clips, Chin Hao's appearance seems to be a bit abnormal all the time. When he was with other people, he always liked to touch others. Regardless of gender. This kind of thing, even her, the supreme mage who has lived for several centuries, is a bit unacceptable. A good child, so there is such a strange hobby? Because of this, she has been reluctant to let the other party go down the mountain. In her plan, the opponent must at least be able to avoid and deal with most dangers before going down the mountain. Also let the other party stop some strange practices. She didn't perceive any crisis today, so when Moto said that she would take Chin Hao out, she agreed. But why did Chin Hao bring back a bunch of little mutants not long after he went out? And he almost killed himself. With a wave of Ancient One's hand, Chin Hao's clothes were completely stripped off. Hiss. This is too scary. It didn't die right away. Is it luck or misfortune? This kind of pain, maybe with the brush of anesthesia bomb, it can make his pain less. Everyone was shocked when they saw Chin Hao's back. Densely packed, full of bullet holes. These bullet holes are inside and are constantly spraying blood. Even Ancient One couldn't do a good job of this horrible injury. But then she noticed something different. Chin Hao's muscles seemed to be squirming constantly. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, a bullet was slowly pushed out of Chin Hao's body. Ding. The sound of bullets falling to the ground sounded. Steele's tall figure jumped over the crowd and saw this amazing scene. This is comparable to Logan's self-healing ability. This self-healing ability is definitely the same as Logan. Wolverine. His self-healing ability is as powerful as Logan, so he can't die. Looks like he's discharging bullets. So he is also a mutant. Great, I finally know why he wanted to save us. He can't die, that's great. See, Chin Hao's body is constantly discharging bullets. One after another. The hearts of the little mutants finally felt a little relieved. They also found out why Qin Hao saved them, because Qin Hao is also a mutant. After a short growl, Qin Hao finally discharged all the bullets in his body. And his body returned to normal again. At the moment, he looked a little pale. Perhaps the lost blood has not had time to fully recover. Ha, ha, Logan, how did you endure this inhuman pain? No wonder Logan growls every time he gets hurt, it really hurts. Qin Hao sat up straight slowly, still muttering to himself. You're not dead, that's great. Steel looked at the recovered Qin Hao and was extremely excited. Not only him, but all the little mutants were also extremely excited. Unlike the excitement of other mutants, Ancient One at the moment has a look of disbelief. Although Qin Hao's past and future are full of fog, it definitely does not include his having such a powerful self-healing ability. Almost everyone who comes to Kamar Taj, she will let the other party feel the feeling of soul astral. And feeling that, many people will fall back and forth and get hurt. Qin Hao is no exception. At least at that time, she didn't find anything strange about Qin Hao. However, today Qin Hao suddenly burst out with such a powerful self-healing ability. It's really like having a mutated X gene. In this way, Qin Hao became a mutant? Thinking of this, she frowned. Things in the material world are left to other people to do. What they, the Supreme Mage, have to do is to protect the magic dimension. Keep Dark Dimension lords like Dormammu from invading. But if Qin Hao becomes a mutant, the situation will not be very good. The situation mutant is facing today is originally not good, and it has to face the suppression of the human world. If Qin Hao is involved, the final situation will be a bit troublesome. Qin Hao, go and wash up, and then we'll talk. Ancient One looked at the naked Qin Hao and said. In a hurry just now, she directly used magic to strip Qin Hao naked. At the moment being surrounded by people seems a bit indecent. Give way. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he waved his hand, and a portal suddenly appeared in front of him. On the other side was Qin Hao's room. Well, Steel, let me touch you later. After Qin Hao stepped into his room, he turned his head and said something to Steel. He remembered, this self-healing was too painful, and he looked back to see if he could touch Steel's skin. That looks so handsome. Steel, Ancient One. This, his weird way of doing it started now? After washing, Qin Hao came to Ancient One's residence. The other mutants were settled elsewhere by the mages. Ancient One looked at Qin Hao strangely. Master Ancient One, what do you want from me? Qin Hao asked directly, although he has some ideas in his mind. But at the moment, he still asked decisively. You became a mutant? Ancient One finally spoke. Mutants? Qin Hao was taken aback for a moment, but then he laughed. No, I don't have a mutated X gene, I'm a common. Then. Why did you appear beside those little mutants today? Ancient One asked next. This incident. If I said that I saw some strange clips and heard someone calling for help constantly, so I subconsciously wanted to try it, and it turned out that those things were true, would you believe it? Qin Hao had already thought of an explanation. He's not going to admit that he got into Xavier's school by mistake because he wanted to run away. At the moment, he boiled everything down to an inexplicable fragment. After Ancient One listened, she walked up to Qin Hao and looked up at him. You also learned to prophecy. Could it be that the natural magic constitution is so amazing that you can even learn the most difficult prophecy? There was joy in Ancient One's eyes. There are also doubts. She discovered the specialness of Qin Hao constitution, so she thought of training him to become the Supreme Mage. Similarly, in order to quit Qin Hao's bad habit of seeing and touching others, she locked Qin Hao in the mirror world for most of the past 2 years. Let the other party constantly read. Even fighting skills are taught less. However, the other party can see an ability of separation of mind and body from reading the book. Even today, it has shown such powerful abilities as Gate of the Secret Law and self-healing. The most important thing is that he seems to have learned prophecy. This ability involves the field of time. In Kamar Taj's Eye of Akmoto, a time gem is placed. This is what they, mage, want to protect. Sure enough, you are a born mage. However, you are still too weak now, so from now on, you should practice well in Kamar Taj. Ancient One looked at Qin Hao very seriously. Qin Hao was depressed. Keeping Kamar Taj, how can I improve my own strength? No, absolutely not. However, Master Ancient One, I also saw some strange clips. Chin Hao put on a gangster look on his face. Strange segment? What segment? I saw countless people falling to the ground and writhing in pain. It started with a group of oddly shaped people, some with blue skin and some with sharp teeth. They seemed to be dying. Chin Hao made nonsense. Upon hearing this, Ancient One's expression changed. She knows about it. She had seen this happen once while watching the future. In the end, the mutants resolved themselves. However, with the addition of Chin Hao to at the moment, there may be many more variables in the outcome. Follow me. He took Chin Hao to the place where the Eye of Agamotto was placed. Ancient One puts on the necklace and starts casting spells. After a while, she looked at Chin Hao. This incident involved the battle between mutant and humans. Now the future has changed. It seems that from the moment you participated, there was a fog in the future. Ancient One double-checked with the time gem. Discover mutants' future is in shambles. This matter made her have some doubts. Even time gem can't see through the future. It seems that this disciple's causal involvement in the world is really extensive. I feel that since I have been involved, this matter must have a result, whether it is good or bad. Chin Hao at the moment suddenly became righteous. Ancient One looked at the other party, probably thinking about it. No, the material world is left to them to resolve themselves. What we mage family need to do is more to solve the attack on the magic side. And, Ancient One paused at this point. And, the matter of mutant, their ending has actually been decided. Is the ending set? Chin Hao's complexion changed. If the ending of mutant, whether it is the old version or the new version, it seems that mutant finally has been decided. In the old version, the Sentinel hunted down the mutant to near extinction. In the new version, mutant was killed by genetically modified corn. This sad race. Could it be that there is no way to save the mutant family? Chin Hao frowned and asked. Ancient One turned his head sharply. You saw this too? Ancient One turned his head sharply. You saw this too? Chin Hao was taken aback for a moment, then his face straightened. Hey, I saw two different endings. One is that the opponent was almost wiped out by Sentinel. The other is that mutant is directly wiped out by genetic corn. I don't know which of these two results is correct. He was talking nonsense again. Anyway, bragging and nonsense don't require money. Whoever it is, maybe Ancient One can bring himself down for it. Since you have seen such a picture, you should know that there is no way to solve this matter. So, let them sort out the mutant thing themselves. Ancient One is getting tougher this time. Chin Hao looked confused. No, since we know that mutants' ending is not good, shouldn't we find a way to help them? Why let them figure it out by themselves? As I said before, the matter of the material world is left to them to solve by themselves. Our goal is to protect the magic side and prevent mysterious magic from affecting the operation of this world. Your prophecies are not very strong yet, otherwise you should be able to see more of the future. When you see those futures, you know that what happened to mutant is actually what they asked for. Originally has been suppressed by humans, but is still constantly fighting among themselves. You can help such a race for a while, but you can't help them for a lifetime. Since you asked, I'll talk to you about it. The most important thing for a race is to learn to save itself. Only self-help is the only way out. Putting hope on others is all self-destruction. Our Supreme Mage maintains the safety of the magic dimension, which is an aspect of self-help. Without our Supreme Mage, the Dark Dimension Lords like Dormammu would simply swallow our universe. Do you understand? Ancient One at the moment gave a rare lecture to Chin Hao. After hearing this, Chin Hao frowned. Okay, I get it. He knew that Ancient One was determined. In fact, Chin Hao also felt that mutant was courting his own death. Even as a human being, he actually felt that what Professor X did was not right. Definitely, he also disagrees with Magneto's extreme thinking. In fact, their mutant could have had more options. For example, find a place to put all the mutants, such as the Kingdom of Wakanda, or the Kingdom of Inhumans. Level 4 mutants like Professor X and Magneto, plus level 5 mutants like Chin, can definitely deter humans. At least before the two of them die, mutant should not be liquidated by humans. But two people, one constantly teases human beings. Make humans more afraid of mutant. A force that constantly weakens mutant originally has not yet formed. Want to put the future of mutant on humans. Constantly internal friction, really courting death. Well, the little mutants are waiting for you, and they want to thank you individually. Ancient One thought that Chin Hao had been convinced, and told him a piece of news. Chin Hao came to the residence prepared for mutant. Mr. Mage, thank you. Steel, as the leader, thanked Qin Hao again. Qin Hao said with a smile on his face, "You don't need to thank me. I really want to thank me. Let me touch my transformation." Steel's face froze. It seems that the other party said it when they left. Is the other party interested in yourself? Or, is he interested in his Steel status? Hopefully it's the latter. Caw caw caw, there was a sound of metal rubbing against each other. Steel covered in metal appeared in front of Qin Hao's eyes. Wow, cool. Qin Hao reached out and stroked Steel's metal skin. Ding, the detection failed and cannot be picked up. A voice sounded in his mind. Test failed. He has been listening to this voice for 2 years. In Kamar Taj, because of the 1-year skill CD time. And on mutant, I don't know if it's the same. Then he touched all the little mutants. The result is detection failure. Sure enough, the system itself needs to be studied carefully. But all of this was seen by Ancient One. This apprentice is indeed a bit abnormal. She was really helpless. In every prophecy, you can always see the other party constantly touching someone else. Like that, he looked excited. It was like seeing a peerless beauty. Shaking her head, she chose to leave. Just after Ancient One left, Steel spoke decisively. "Mr. Mage, you are also a mutant, can you save the rest of us?" They begged for other mage, but no one else dared to go without the consent of the Ancient One master. Also, he could see that the Ancient One had little interest in saving the mutant. At the moment, only Qin Hao Mage who is also mutant is requested. Qin Hao felt that the sight that Ancient One was looking at him disappeared. At the moment, he felt a little relieved. It's useless, Xavier's school has been captured, but at the moment, I can take you to a place. Qin Hao shook his head and said. Others do not know, he is still very clear. Stryker easily captured Xavier's school. After all, the most powerful mutant at the moment are not there. Where are you going? Steel apparently thought of that too. Qin Hao waved his hand, and a secret lawgate appeared in front of his eyes, and this place was Iceman's home. Wolverine, they will come here. The two walked through the secret door, and they saw Wolverine's group waiting for Iceman's parents. Hey Wolverine, thank you. Qin Hao saw Wolverine and immediately thanked her. If it wasn't for him, where would I get this self-healing? Without self-healing, how would I dare to save these mutants? If I didn't save the mutant, how could I have so many opportunities to contact all kinds of mutants? Although he touched those little mutants, none of them got the new ability. But with so many mutants, there is always a chance for him to get a new ability. At this time, Poppy Iceman, John the Burning Man, and Little Rascal all came downstairs after hearing the voice. Hey, hello, you're Iceman. Qin Hao stretched out his hand towards Iceman before everyone said hello. He also wanted to see if he could get a new ability. Iceman shook Qin Hao's hand in a daze. I'm Iceman, are you? Ding. The Iceman ability, freeze, is detected, whether to pick it up or not. Qin Hao at the moment looked at Iceman with bright eyes. Frost ability. The ability to bind itself again. Today's harvest is really amazing. Bind. Pick up and bind Iceman ability, freeze. A new ability appeared directly in Qin Hao's system. Then he walked towards Pyro. Hi, you should be Pyro, I'm Mage from Kamar Taj. Qin Hao and Pyro also shook hands. Ding, Pyro's fire control ability has been detected, picking up the binding CD is recovering, binding after 23 hours 59 minutes and 6 seconds. This time, a new voice appeared. The fire control ability of a living person was detected. But it can't be bound, because pick up the bound CD recovery. And the time interval is actually 1 day. Qin Hao at the moment finally figured out another feature of this system. Ah, this is the Little Rascal, Shin will be lucky to meet you. Qin Hao knew his binding interval, and at the moment there was no need to shake hands with the Little Rascal. After all, shaking hands can't bind her ability. Moreover, he doesn't seem to want the other party's ability. When you come into contact with others, you will absorb their abilities, just like your own at the moment system. The key is that your own system does not have such side effects. Peter, Steel. How are our people? Logan at the moment asks Steel about the students at Xavier's school. Part of us have fled to Kamar Taj where Mage is. Steel briefly described what they had experienced. And all of this is related to this Mage of Kamar Taj. Logan at the moment heard what Steel said, and his eyes focused on Qin Hao. He saved Qin Hao's life last night, and Qin Hao finally saved a bunch of little mutants. Between drinking and pecking, the cycle of cause and effect continues. Just then, the door of Poppy Iceman's house opened, and Poppy's brother and family came back. Then, as expected, the plot evolved in that direction. The younger brother called the police, and the police arrived. "Listen, people inside, put your hands up. Get out of the room." A policeman raised a gun and shouted into it. "Why are there police?" Iceman at the moment had a look of disbelief, and then he looked upstairs. Could it be his younger brother? Wolverine's temper was very impatient. He rushed out when he saw the people outside. 3 steel claws stretched out on each hand. Boom. But at this moment, a bullet hit his forehead directly. His whole body fell to the ground. "Logan. Logan. Listen, people inside, put your hands up." The police outside spoke again. Crack, click. Steele turned directly and walked out the door. A group of policemen saw the mutant and shot decisively. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of countless bullets hitting Steele sounded. Steele didn't move an inch. "Steele, get ready to drag Logan back." Chin Hao at the moment, the ice chi from both hands continuously sprayed out. A wall of ice quickly formed. Puff, puff, puff. All the bullets, at the moment, hit the ice wall one after another. Leave one white pit after another. Iceman at the moment looked at Chin Hao in disbelief. "Are you magic or supernatural power?" His ability is the ability to freeze everything. But the mage in front of him also used an ability that was almost the same as his power. "This is magic, and it's a bit similar to your abilities." Chin Hao made nonsense. "Anyway, my identity as mage can already explain too many problems." "Inexplicable, it's all magic. Hey, maybe we should go." Chin Hao at the moment waved his hand, and a secret door was instantly formed. "Hey, maybe we should go." Chin Hao at the moment waved his hand, and a secret door was instantly formed. This time, the door opened in an open space dozens of kilometers away. Cool. Pyro John looked at the arcane door that appeared out of nowhere, his eyes sparkling. Steele picked up the still recovering Wolverine. The group, under the incredulous eyes of the police and Iceman's parents, disappeared into their house. After passing through the arcane door, Logan's body finally completed self-healing. The bullet was ejected from his forehead. This is where. He opened his eyes and saw that this place was actually a strange place. "Logan, let Storm and the others come straight here to pick us up." Chin Hao said calmly. "Cool, that's really cool. Logan, it's a shame you didn't see this Oriental mage's spell just now." Pyro is obviously more active. He looked at Chin Hao with bright eyes. Immediately afterwards, he excitedly described what happened just now. Chin Hao didn't have much ill feeling towards the other party. In fact, he also has this character. If you have ability and want to show off, this is the world of young people. After listening to Logan, he felt a little bad. For myself, I seem to have underestimated this mage a bit. Woo! The sound of the engine came from the sky. An invisible plane at the moment finally appears. Storm and Jean finally arrived. The two of them were looking for Nightcrawler, who had assassinated the president. A group of people got on the plane and gave a brief introduction. Chin Hao at the moment, the eyes of those who looked at this plane were going to light up. Taking advantage of the opportunity of shaking hands just now, he tried everyone here. Ding. The storm weather manipulation ability was detected. The binding CD is recovering after picking it up, and it will be bound after 22 hours 45 minutes and 24 seconds. Ding. Phoenix Force is detected. Pick up and restore the binding CD. Bind after 22 hours 44 minutes and 36 seconds. Ding. The Nightcrawler's teleportation ability was detected. The binding CD is recovering after picking it up, and it will be bound after 22 hours 43 minutes and 18 seconds. Everyone here can bind an ability, and the ability he wants most is Chin's Phoenix Force and Nightcrawler's teleportation. But as a time traveler, he also has some B numbers in his heart. Phoenix Force is not so easy to control. Regardless of whether it is the old version of Phoenix or the new version of Phoenix, it is finally blackened. So, it seems that at the moment is better bound to Nightcrawler's teleportation. Because Nightcrawler's teleport doesn't have any CD. In this way, there is a door of secret law when traveling far, and there is teleportation nearby. It's just a show. However, it will take a day to bind. It seems that I have to stay with them for a few more days. At this moment, Jean found that the radar showed 2 rapidly approaching objects. Airplane. Fighter. Hey, we're locked down. Aren't there any offensive weapons on the plane? Nightcrawler asked cautiously. I am. Storm's eyes instantly turned white. The endless energy of heaven and earth is gradually gathering. A scene that Qin Hao had never seen gathered between heaven and earth. Endless clouds pressed down from the sky, and one after another air pressure vortex gradually formed. Tornado. Tornadoes. Storm is the super weapon on this plane. The two planes behind were constantly dodging left and right in the tornado group. A plane dodged slowly and crashed directly into the tornado. But the other one locked onto Qin Hao's plane and fired 2 missiles. No, the missile is coming. At this time, Qin finally began to show his power. Her powerful psychokinesis knocks a missile out of control. But at this time, her ability has also reached its limit. Another missile, and there was nothing she could do. Hey, open the tailgate. Qin Hao at the moment took the initiative to speak. What? Dodging at such a high speed, you said you didn't want to live anymore by opening the tailgate of the plane. Upon hearing his words, Storm was the first to retort. Just kidding, at the moment open the tailgate. This violent wind will throw them all out. Open the tailgate of the plane, and I'll move that missile away. Qin Hao explained again. Listen to him. Steel clearly supports Qin Hao. He himself knows Qin Hao's ability best. Super self-healing ability, as well as portal, freezing ability. I really don't know if this mysterious oriental mage has other abilities. He said that the missiles can be transferred away, that should be absolutely possible. Just trust you once. Storm pressed a button. The tailgate of the high-speed flight is gradually opening. Wild winds raged inside the plane. Those things that were not firmly fixed were all blown away. Hey, Nightcrawler, if I ever get blown away, get me back. Qin Hao at the moment was still in the mood to joke around with the Nightcrawler in blue skin. In fact, he had already seen the missile with its long white tail. And that missile was not far from the plane. Go. With a wave of Qin Hao's hand, a secret door with shining yellow fireworks took shape instantly. And that missile passed through the secret door directly. Immediately afterwards, the secret door disappeared instantly. Done. Qin Hao turned his head and showed a smug smile. All the mutants on the plane stared at Qin Hao dumbfounded. So, easy? Storm closed the plane's tailgate. A group of people looked at Qin Hao with strange expressions. Is that how we left Bobby's house? Logan spoke first. He was shot and had left Iceman's house when he woke up. Although Pyro told him that it was this mysterious Oriental who opened a mysterious portal to take them away. However, at the moment saw it with his own eyes, and it was really shocking. What did you see just now? The missile that had been following them was directly exiled by Qin Hao. That's right. Steel gave a positive answer. Well, where did you transfer that missile? Storm at the moment asked with some concern. It's okay, I threw it into the sea, Qin Hao said casually. He was telling the truth this time. It is hard to imagine other places, but the endless sea is easy to imagine. Opening the door to the sea is easy. This is the power of your Eastern mage? Nightcrawler at the moment also looked at Qin Hao curiously. This mysterious Oriental is really too mysterious. His ability, too, is so cool. Well, this is just a part of our abilities in practice. Qin Hao said, truthfully, compared with Ancient One Mage, this is really only part of the practice. There are still so many abilities waiting for Qin Hao to practice. Cough, pick them up and bind them. Wait, I feel something is wrong with the plane. Just then, Jean felt the plane was spinning out of control. What, isn't this you manipulating? Storm at the moment also felt this anomaly. Not me. Qin Hao knew that this was the arrival of Magneto. This Magneto, what a showman, Magneto. The name came out of his mouth. Magneto strikes, prepare to fight. Hearing this name, everyone present was ready to fight. No way, they all know exactly what kind of urine is Magneto. Who is Magneto? Nightcrawler asked the people around him in disbelief. A mutant-centric extreme mutant. It aims to oppose human domination and establish a society dominated by mutants. Last time, he used my ability to turn everyone in New York into mutants. Little rascal at the moment still had a look of anger on his face. Last time, she almost died. Logan sitting on the plane, at the moment felt the most uncomfortable. He's covered in metal all over and is the easiest one to manipulate. Facing Magneto, he is simply overwhelmed. Under the control of Magneto, the plane slowly landed on the road. They went down and saw Magneto and Mystique. Looking at everyone who looked defensive, Magneto spoke. Today, I didn't come to fight with you. This time, we need to cooperate. Cooperate? Cooperate with you? Dream. Logan breathed out the fragrance. Wolverine, you stink of metal all over your body, will you never learn to keep your head down? The plot of At the Moment has changed. If it is the original way, the plane will fall when it is attacked by missiles. Magneto was equivalent to saving them. But this time, the plane is fine, and that's when Magneto attacked them. These two properties lead to their very different attitudes towards Magneto. Facing you, we can't be too high profile and defensive. Otherwise, why would you attack our plane? Logan was still the grumpy one. No, this time I'm here for Charles, so I don't want to have any conflicts with you. This time, I really want to cooperate. Magneto has a bad temper, but at the moment he has been patient. If Charles had been used by Stryker, then it would have been over. He knew exactly what the other party would do. Destroy the mutants. What happened to Dr. Charles? Hearing Magneto's words, Storm couldn't bear it at first. Professor X is their backbone. If something happens to him, the X-Men will really break up here. He was captured by Stryker. Hearing Magneto's words, everyone looked in disbelief. Especially Logan, who heard the name again, Stryker. The guy who transformed him. Okay, let's trust you for a while, and you tell us what happened. Storm agrees to Magneto's proposal. It is about Professor X, and there is no room for their disagreement. Seeing this, Magneto walked towards the plane like an outsider. As soon as Chin Hao saw that the two sides were making peace, he went over to shake hands with the two enthusiastically. We have to see if we can find out a special ability. Hello. I'm Mage from the East. It's a pity that these two are arrogant masters. Magneto glanced at Chin Hao, then turned around and walked towards Logan and the others. Step aside. And Mystique, at the moment, is even more arrogant and directly asked him to get out of the way. Chin Hao was a little unhappy. This is a bit too much. Putting a hot face on a cold butt, he won't do it. With a wave of his hand, a secret door appeared. Then, the arcane door moved towards Magneto and Mystique. It's like Doctor Strange with Thor and Loki. Then, the two were directly teleported to the road tens of meters away from everyone. Magneto at the moment looked confused. Mystique looked confused. The two of them are clearly going to the plane. Why is at the moment farther away from the plane? Chin Hao Mage, don't do this. Seeing that Chin Hao was angry, Storm hurried over to appease him. This mysterious mage from the East is very powerful at first glance. Even their longtime rival, Magneto, was passed straight away. What if he got anxious and sent the people at the scene away? At the moment is obviously the most important thing to save Charles. Are these two people looking down on me? Chin Hao raised his eyebrows and said. I'll go and talk to the two of you. Storm at the moment is going crazy. This mage from the East also seems to be short-tempered. Magneto ignored him, and he shot unceremoniously. However, this kind of powerful person does have his own temper. In fact, Chin Hao from at the moment has only gradually found the way to use his ability. For example, the door of the secret law. The fixed door is the usage of primary mage. This kind of movable door is what he should use. Back then at Xavier's school, if I thought of this trick. Where do you need to take bullets? Sure enough, one's own thinking is the biggest culprit that restricts one's spellcasting. Magneto and Mystique walked up to Chin Hao again. Magneto looked at Chin Hao with a solemn expression. Your strength is very strong, and we look forward to having you join us. After he finished speaking, he proactively extended his hand towards Chin Hao. For those who are powerful, are those who can use them, Magneto's attitude is actually not bad. Ding. Magneto, manipulation and manufacture of magnetic fields, was detected, and the binding CD is being picked up and restored, and it will be bound after 18 hours 44 minutes and 36 seconds. Sure enough, this ability can also be picked up and bound by oneself. There will definitely be opportunities for cooperation in the future. Chin Hao shrugged his shoulders and said, before I got your ability, we all had the opportunity to cooperate. Once you get your ability, that's not necessarily the case. Can this portal of yours be opened anywhere? Mystique at the moment caressed Chin Hao coquettishly. Ask him this question. Ding, the detection failed, and the binding cannot be picked up. Another unobtainable ability, same as steel. Could it be that he can't obtain this ability to change the appearance of his body? He glanced at Mystique, who was waiting for his answer. You guess? Chin Hao did not answer Mystique's question directly. Mystique turned and left gracefully, but her eyes kept sweeping over Chin Hao. It was a look of great interest. Magneto, you said about Charles, now, do you want to talk about it? Storm spoke first. Others also surrounded at the moment. Charles was captured by Stryker, and Stryker needed Charles to do something for him. And this matter is to use the brainwave strengthening device to eliminate all mutants. Magneto said a big thing right out of his mouth. Stryker, use Charles to eliminate all mutants. No way, Charles wouldn't do that. Storm clearly didn't believe it. Stryker, there is a mutant that can convince anyone, and Charles can't resist. Magneto was a little depressed. Also, Stryker attacked you just to steal Charles's brainwave strengthening device. Also, he built a second brainwave strengthening machine in one place, but I don't know where. But some of you do know. Logan shook his head when he heard it. Professor X has already been tried, and I can't find those messages in my head. Magneto glanced at him. You are not the protagonist, and it is not you who are looking for this time. After he finished speaking, his eyes turned to Nightcrawler. The next day, everyone got up and got on the plane and flew towards Yackley Lake. This is the news of their arrival. Stryker established a powerful mutant experimental base there. Many mutants were imprisoned inside, and even Wolverine was transformed there. Chin Hao also knew, but he forgot the address. After all, he never used to memorize the name of a lake in a movie. Hey Chin Mage, can you just go there? Nightcrawler sat beside Chin Hao and asked quietly. Can you teleport to places you haven't been to and can't see? Chin Hao asked a question back. No, you mean you can't either? No, as long as I can imagine a place, I can do it. But first, I have to give me a place to imagine. Nightcrawler wondered if he understood Chin Hao's words. But he didn't speak anymore. In fact, Chin Hao tried it, and he was able to teleport it directly. Because he was very impressed with that dam, especially the brainwave strengthening device. He can easily imagine and open the portal, however, he doesn't want to. He also wanted to spend a little time and touch this group of people. After yesterday, one day and night, at the moment is not much time before he can bind the next ability again. He's also counting on another ability on the way. The plane took off and flew towards Yackley Lake. Time gradually passed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chin Hao muttered something, and then, he quietly touched a person. Ding. The Magneto, Manipulation and Manufacturing Magnetic Field. Ability is detected, is it picked up and bound? Bind. As soon as the words fell, a strange force flowed through his body. Is this how Magneto feels? Chin Hao thought in his heart. At the moment, he can clearly feel the magnetic field from the Earth. He could also clearly feel the metal structure of the plane. He could clearly feel the metal skeleton in Wolverine's body. He even felt that he could easily take over the ownership of the plane. Physical ownership. This authority allows the plane to move under his magnetic control. This should be why Magneto ripped them from the sky on the ground. I have to say that as expected of a level 4 mutant, this kind of strength is really powerful. He combined the abilities of so many people here. But he thought for a long time, and finally decided to bind Magneto's ability first. The first point, he can use this ability to deceive those brothers and sisters who are not strong. Make them think they have learned magic. Definitely, he knew that he couldn't fool Ancient One. After all, the use of this ability does not produce magical energy. Another point is that Chin Hao took a fancy to Magneto's ability to disassemble and reorganize metals. Like Magneto's freewheeling way of turning metal into balls and discs when he escaped from his plastic prison. On Kamar Taj, our Ancient One's ability, there is a very important magic, alchemy. Those instruments are the product of alchemy. At that time, if I have learned alchemy, and combined with this ability to manipulate metal, I can create more magic tools that suit me. Another main reason is, handsome. As soon as the hand was stretched out, the car stopped. As soon as I reached out, the plane stopped. Isn't this handsome? This is absolutely handsome. But with this, he doesn't worry at all about those who shoot themselves with guns. Although I have self-healing, it hurts. With this ability, bullets can't even enter the body. Cool. Excited, Chin Hao at the moment directly began to use the ability to control the metal to quietly break off a large piece of metal from the seat of the plane. Then under his control, the metal gradually changed. A traditional oriental sword-shaped item appeared in his hand. Flying sword. A cool thing that Chin Hao thought of when he was bored. Phaegian is 2 palms long. It looks like a dagger. The entire sword body presents a standard octagonal shape. The sharp blade and tip are not easy to mess with at first sight. Magneto by his side saw Chin Hao pull out a dagger and play with it in his hand. There was a strange look on his face. As soon as he stretched out his hand, the flying sword was controlled by him. Things like this have no effect in front of me. Aren't you a mage? Do you still use such melee weapons? Magneto said something to Qin Hao. In fact, his at the moment should be regarded as a good intention. Just as he kindly asked Pyro to follow him, Qin Hao grinned. This kind of thing is just a semi-finished product. When the time comes, you will see its usefulness. He reached out and took the floating flying sword. At the moment, he has no interest in pretending in front of Magneto. The plane finally stopped outside Yakli Lake. A group of people got off the plane one after another and walked towards the upstream dam. Iceman, Pyro and Rascal still chose to stay on the plane. After all, they have not received the corresponding training. Going is also adding to the chaos, but this time there are more Steel and Qin Hao. Next, we still split up. Mystique went in to seize the monitoring room, and the rest of us split up to find the location of the brainwave strengthening device. Magneto briefly outlined the plan. Everyone has no opinion. A group of people entered the dam, only to find that the inside is really too big. Countless passages and holes made everyone feel like they didn't know where to go. Mystique resolutely turned into Wolverine according to the plan, which attracted the attention of Stryker behind the monitoring room. And over there, Qin Hao has been following Wolverine. Hey, mysterious Eastern mage, why are you following me? Logan was a little curious. I'm very curious about the place where you were transformed. From your appearance, it seems that you still have a little memory of this place, so I'll follow you to have a look. And, I also want a little adamantium to make a little stuff. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he threw away the flying sword that he had been playing with. In fact, he could imagine opening the door and going in. But at the moment, he still doesn't want others to know how he knows this place so well. When the time comes to cause a misunderstanding, it will not be so convenient for him to get in touch with everyone. I want to use the so-called hardest metal to build a few weapons like this. Hearing Qin Hao's words, Logan accepted his statement. And at this time, Wolverine finally came to the place where he was transformed. On the wall are partial X-ray negatives of the reformed man. In the center of the field, a pool of molten metal that has been heated is constantly tumbling. Wolverine seemed to recall something. His face was full of disbelief. But Qin Hao was not interested at all. He went directly towards the tumbling molten metal. Oriental people, don't touch that thing. At this time, a voice came from behind. Stryker came here with a woman. Death Woman. Mutant transformed just like Wolverine. 10 fingers can stretch out almost a foot of metal nails. Stryker. Wolverine saw him and let out a roar. It's here that you're transformed, and the metal is called adamantium, and it's like common metal when it's melted at high temperatures. But once it cools and sets, it becomes indestructible. Logan, you should have a deep understanding. Stryker at the moment actually still has the mood to introduce this kind of thing to the other party here. As he introduced, he walked towards another door. He is leaving. Not only that, he also commanded the dead girl behind him to attack the two of them. Ah! An enraged Wolverine rushed towards Stryker. It's a pity that she was stopped by the dead woman. Her ferocious and fierce attacks left Wolverine exhausted. Fortunately, her powerful self-healing ability was not overthrown by the other party. Wolverine, I thought you were the most special, but it turns out, you are not. As Stryker said, he entered a string of codes on the code door. Then, the door slowly opened. I'm leaving, goodbye, Wolverine. Stryker seemed in the mood to crack a joke when he left. After speaking, he was about to turn around and leave. Crack. Crack. At this moment, there was a strange sound from inside. Stryker looked back curiously. Then he trembled. The metal railings in this remodeling lab, at the moment, are being torn apart. Those torn railings flew towards him at a rapid pace. Crack. Boom. Several railings directly tied him into a dumpling. He is immortal, it is impossible for him to even have the slightest chance to break free. Death Girl, come and save me. Stryker immediately called out to the Lady of Death. These railings are all common metal, and the claws of the dead woman can easily tear them apart. The Death Woman who heard the shout rushed towards Stryker. Seeing this, Wolverine wanted to stop the opponent. Ah! I want to leave, but there is no way. But then, he froze. The running Death Woman suddenly hovered in the air. Like, something is controlling her. Wolverine suddenly turned her head and saw Qin Hao stretching out a hand. This mysterious Oriental mage directly manipulated the Death Girl. Wolverine was dumbfounded. This Oriental mage can also control the metal-bound Stryker. What else can't he? You. Mysterious Eastern mage, what else do you not know? Wolverine was totally shut off. Beat yourself to death. As a result, the other party raised his hand and it was done. There are still many who won't for the time being, but as long as there is time, there will be very few who won't. Qin Hao grinned. Crack. A piece of metal directly enveloped the dead girl. She doesn't even have room to move. Okay, you can settle your personal feud with Stryker, I have work to do. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he turned his head and looked at the pool of adamantium excitedly. He kept waving his hands, and the metal here was directly controlled by him. One mold after another appeared in front of my eyes. Sword type. Long and short sword shapes. There are 3 feet of green peaks. There are also half-foot fish intestines. There is also a complete set of sword arrays. After the mold was finished, Qin Hao took the nozzle of the metal injection gun and began to pour adamantium into it. Gulu. 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 When a mold is filled, he drops the mold in a sink to cool it down. On one side he was constantly operating, and on the other side Wolverine was torturing Stryker. But Stryker's mouth was vicious, and Wolverine, who complained, was furious. If it weren't for thinking about asking for more information, he even wanted to kill the opponent with one paw. Ah! An angry Wolverine screamed to the sky. Hey Logan, can you do me a favor? At this time, Qin Hao could clearly see the other party's anger and depression, so he hurriedly greeted him. Hearing Qin Hao's voice, Logan really shifted his attention. What's up? Help me fish out those molds in the pool, and then help me take them apart. Wolverine glanced at the pile of grinding tools in the sink. He glanced back at Stryker, who fell to the ground at the moment. Finally chose to come to the pool. Looking at Logan, who was gradually controlling his emotions, Qin Hao's eyes finally returned to calm. If the other party acts recklessly, maybe he has to be tied up too. That would be boring. Wow, crack. Wow, crack. One mold after another was fished out by Wolverine. Then it shattered instantly under his steel claws. All that remains is the hardened adamantium sword inside. A handful. A handful. Another one. At this moment, the entire laboratory trembled. Qin Hao looked up, and he knew that the battle was too loud, and this place was about to collapse. He does not continue to infuse adamantium. Directly wields the longsword that Wolverine tore apart from the grinder. 12. There are a total of 12 at the moment. He reached out and touched the best-formed long sword among them. Ding. The adamantium long sword has been detected, is it bound? Qin Hao was taken aback. Can long swords also be bound? He glanced at the sling ring in his hand, then thought about it. Originally, all he bound were magic equipment. Sling ring in hand. Jumping boots. He never thought about binding common items. And he has lived in Kamar Taj for so long, and the system has never bound common items. This makes him always think that what can be bound is a magic item. But at the moment, binding the adamantium long sword is obviously telling him that the system is actually a picky eater. Good thing it just binds. It disdains rubbish. He touched the 12 swords in turn. Only 5 swords can be bound. A short sword. 4 long swords, bind. Qin Hao said affirmatively. Ding, bind the adamantium sword. Ding, ding, 5 consecutive system sounds sounded. Ding. More than 2 items of the same type are detected. Open the space backpack and store the bound items. At this time, the system sound sounded again. Qin Hao was even more excited when he heard this voice. Space backpack. A dimensional space dedicated to placing these bound items. At the moment, he quickly checked his system status. Divine grade pickup binding system, equipment, item picking and binding, unique. Knowledge, experience, skills, constitution class pickup and binding, copy. Bound ability, 1. Longevity, 24 years, 888 years, with the longevity of Ancient One. Self-healing factor prolongs life again. 2. Separation of spirit and body. Let the spirit body separate from physical activities. 3. Space door. It can open a space door leading to other places. 4. Self-healing. When the body is traumatized, it can recover quickly, delay aging and prolong life. 5. Freezing. All substances can be frozen, to be developed. 6. Controlling and manufacturing magnetic field. Use magnetic field to do some incredible things. Bound items 1. Magic jumping boots 2. Sling ring. 3. Adamantium dagger 4. Adamantium long sword 4. Space backpack. 0. As soon as his consciousness moved, the 4 adamantium long swords disappeared directly. They all went into Qin Hao's space backpack. In this way, I don't have to worry about having no place to put the bound things. Moreover, items bound by the system cannot be used by others. Even if adamantium did it, Magneto has no way of manipulating it. This is the weapon I pretend to use, Qin Hao thought in his heart. Wait until the time comes to see Magneto, then proceed to throw the short sword in front of him. At that time, it might be really interesting to see if he wants to control but can't control it. Boom. At this time, the laboratory shook again. Dust and gravel are constantly falling from above. Logan, I have to go find Charles and the others. Qin Hao knew that this was a harbinger of increasingly dangerous dams. If you don't leave, you will be in trouble. What are they going to do? Logan points to at the moment Stryker and Death, who are restrained. I told them to go to the plane and wait. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he waved his hand. A secret door appeared. Immediately afterwards, the door of the secret method moved, and the 2 guys who fell on the ground disappeared without a trace. Wolverine shook her head. He glanced casually just now and found that the other side of the secret door is indeed the place where the plane is parked. Fantastic Oriental Mage, your move is so convenient. Go. Find Charles. Squeak. A violent mental force suddenly descended on all the mutants at the moment. All the mutants felt a headache. They howled in pain. Many people even started to have nosebleeds. Wolverine at the moment, who was looking for a brainwave strengthening device with Qin Hao, suddenly hugged her head and screamed. Even if he has a powerful self-healing ability, at the moment can feel this boundless pain. Because, this is from mental pain. Qin Hao's eyes were fixed. Charles begins. His powerful spiritual power made all the mutants feel pain through the brainwave strengthening device. As long as he continues to concentrate, all mutants will be destroyed by his psychic power. Qin Hao frowned, and with a wave of his hand Wolverine floated in the air. Then a secret door suddenly appeared. He came to the outside of the brainwave strengthening device. Mystique was rolling around on the ground. Magneto was fine because he was wearing a helmet at the moment. He is controlling the metal door to open. I saw Qin Hao rushing through a space door. His eyes changed. Qin Hao opened the portal and brought Wolverine with him. Change the look on Magneto's face. No way, at the moment Qin Hao has no problem. It proves that Qin Hao is human. And what he has to do in a while is to kill all humans. This matter will definitely be stopped by the other party. But he also saw the dagger in Qin Hao's hand. The magnetic field surging around his body made him feel the extraordinariness of that sword. However, as long as it is metal, it has to be controlled by oneself. A plan came to mind. Hey, the magical Eastern mage, can you help open the door? Qin Hao glanced at Magneto with a half-smile. I can't help you here for the time being. Forcibly opening this place may cause all the people who are connected with Charles's mental power to have a mental breakdown. Unless you want me to kill everyone. He acted a little helpless. Hearing that, Magneto focused all his attention on manipulating the metal door in front of him. Confirmed, the other party does not have the same ability as myself. Crunch, crunch, the sound of metal force shapeshifting sounded constantly. Crack. Finally, under the control of Wan Magnetic Wang Chang's powerful force, the entire door was directly opened. The originally complete brainwave strengthening device at the moment is no longer complete. Charles's mental power cannot be strengthened, just like the Wi-Fi is disconnected. All mutants connected to Charles's psychic power, at the moment, returned to normal. The fallen Wolverine and Mystique stood up in pain. Okay. Hurry up and take Charles away. Qin Hao spoke with an inexplicable expression. He knew that Magneto would never be reconciled. No. This time is our mutants' chance to gain the upper hand. If we don't come here, we mutant today will be a thing of the past. Do you think I'll just let it go? Magneto looked back at Qin Hao with disdain. Wolverine heard Magneto's words behind him, and his face changed drastically. What do you want to do? For what? Definitely let Charles finish what he didn't finish. Magneto finished, and waved at Wolverine violently. Ah! As Wolverine roared, a chain of metal directly fixed Wolverine to the wall. To deal with Wolverine, this trick is really easy to use. Hey, why bother? Qin Hao walked towards the other party as he spoke. Mystique at the moment behind him rushed forward and was about to approach Qin Hao. Not only that, Magneto's hand stretched towards Qin Hao's dagger, and Invisible's magnetic force was about to snatch Qin Hao's dagger and stab him. But his magnetic force clearly felt the existence of the dagger, but he couldn't control it at all. Why can't it be controlled? Magneto was puzzled again. His plan was to stab Qin Hao with this dagger, so that he would not meddle in his own business. But, so out of control. Can't you control it? That's right, because this is magical magic. The corner of Qin Hao's mouth was raised, and the dagger in his hand seemed to be controlled by a big invisible hand. He turned around and stabbed at Mystique behind him. This sudden shock shocked Mystique. How so? Can the other party know where I am without looking behind me? Moreover, this dagger looks like it has eyes. No matter how she tried to avoid it, it was useless. Eventually, Mystique was left with a gash. Don't come here, I won't be polite if you come again. Next time, this sword will directly stab your chest. Qin Hao forced Mystique back, and then said casually. Mystique at the moment was extremely angry, but she dared not go any further. In just a moment, her foot was stabbed. At the moment, her activities have been restricted. If you go any further, you will be courting death. In desperation, she slowly withdrew from the area of the brainwave strengthening device. Magneto's face was full of anger, and he stretched out his hands. Countless metals in the entire brainwave strengthening device were controlled by him one after another. Then they attacked Qin Hao. Qin Hao's dagger continued to fly in the metal, cutting the incoming metal to pieces. Adamantium short sword, extremely sharp. You only have one sword. My metal is free to use. Are you looking for death here fighting with me? After Magneto finished speaking, more metal rushed towards Qin Hao. Boom. Crack. The countless metals overwhelmed Qin Hao. HMPH, the mysterious Eastern mage is nothing more than that. After he finished speaking, he would manipulate the metal to rearrange the layout here. But then, he discovered something that he found incomprehensible. He couldn't control the metal that attacked Qin Hao just now. What happened? He tried hard continuously. But it didn't work. It seemed as if some powerful force was fighting against him for control of the metal. Do you want to know what's going on? In the metal pile, Qin Hao's voice came out again. Immediately afterwards, the pile of metal slowly moved away. Qin Hao inside was unharmed. Mystique looked at the situation inside in horror. Metal control, isn't it Magneto's ability? Why didn't this mysterious Oriental mage get hurt this time? You can also manipulate metal, Magneto's unbelievable voice sounded. Magneto's unbelievable voice sounded. He has always thought that he is the most special. Powerful magnetic fields manipulate ability, making him incredibly powerful. But now, I saw that another person also had this ability. Mystique stood outside the range of the EG strengthening machine. Shocked to hear Magneto's words. This mysterious Oriental mage also manipulates metal? As for Wolverine, who was bound by metal outside, at the moment felt a little relieved. He has already seen Qin Hao's ability. Stryker and the dead woman were tied up by Qin Hao and sent outside to where the plane was parked. And at the moment, he was even able to wrest control of the metal from Magneto. This powerful ability seems to be no less than Magneto. This mage from the East is too powerful, right? That's right. I also have the same ability as you, so it's impossible for you to succeed today. Two identical forces are at a stalemate. There is simply no way Magneto at the moment can continue to control these metals. But Magneto doesn't seem to be convinced yet. He tried hard to control the metal elsewhere. But the final result still disappointed him. Magneto, do you think I'll let you transform this place successfully? I am also a human being. If you do this, will you kill me too? You know, just a few days ago, my master told me that the most important thing for a race is to save itself. You and Charles have different philosophies, so that you have always been in a state of being enemies and friends. You constantly attack humans, he constantly shows kindness to humans. The end result is that humans have mixed emotions towards you mutants. They don't know whether you are good or bad. You mutants, you haven't learned to save yourself at all. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he smiled self-deprecatingly. Forget it. I'm talking too much. You and Professor X have been in love with each other for decades. How can you not understand these truths? But today, you have no chance to do this. After Qin Hao finished speaking, a dagger rushed towards Magneto with great speed. This is exactly the adamantium dagger bound by Qin Hao. That speed far exceeds Magneto's reaction speed. Caw! The short sword hit Magneto's helmet in an instant. This helmet was destroyed by Qin Hao. The helmet was destroyed, and Magneto was really heartbroken this time. This thing is unique. He still got it from Shao. But now, it was ruined by Qin Hao. Without this helmet, Magneto will have a hard time competing with the Professor X. Afterwards, it became much more difficult for him to think about doing bad things. Mysterious Oriental. Why are you doing this? Let's just go. Why destroy my helmet? Magneto really lost his composure this time. That's right, we have to go, otherwise the dam will collapse in a while. After Chin Hao finished speaking, the door of the secret method opened quickly. Then, while moving, Magneto, Charles, and Stryker's son all disappeared in place. Chin Hao turned his head, and Mystique, who was standing outside the door, backed away in shock. He held out his hand to Wolverine. Crack. Crack. All the metal-binding Wolverine was stripped in an instant. He's back to normal again. Chin Mage, thank you. Wolverine at the moment is a rare thank you to Chin Hao. Chin Hao saved Charles. Also thwarted Magneto's ambitions. This matter is worth remembering by all X-Men. At this moment, a group of mutants who were rescued by saving Storm, and others came here. The dam is about to collapse, everyone leave quickly. After Chin Hao finished speaking, a secret door appeared again. Before everyone had time to react, it's already in the wild of ice and snow. Not far away, Xavier's school's plane is parked there. I have to say, it's very lively here. Bound Stryker and Deathgirl. Son of Magneto and Stryker who were exiled, and Charles who was rescued. And a bunch of little mutants that just came out. Mysterious Oriental Mage, thank you. In this world of ice and snow, Charles finally recovered. When he saw Magneto's damaged helmet just now, he subconsciously tried to read the other's mind. Then I discovered what happened to the battle just now. This mysterious Oriental Mage seems to have the same ability as Magneto. You're welcome. I think everyone can go back to Xavier's school and chat slowly if there is something to do. Chin Hao shook hands with Charles with a smile on his face. Ding. Professor X, spiritual ability, was detected. Picking up the binding CD is recovering. Binding after 22 hours 44 minutes and 36 seconds. Another skill that can be bound is beckoning to Chin Hao. His face grew more happy and excited. This wave maxed out the favorability of X-Men. It will be much more convenient to come here to rub ability later. Moreover, this spiritual ability is a super powerful ability. Whether it is a mind cage or mind manipulation, Chin Hao's ability in terms of mental power can be greatly enhanced. This ability will be bound later. Hey, everyone get on the plane and leave. Storm greeted the crowd in front. This shows that many people should give up after looking at it. Hey, uncomfortable. Sitting on the plane, it seems a bit crowded. Stryker, Stryker's son, Dead Girl, Magneto, Mystique. These people are on the plane at the moment. This time, because of the existence of Chin Hao, there was no accident due to the collapse of the dam. Phoenix Chin Gree did not sacrifice for everyone. This invisible has changed a lot of the plot. Wolverine at the moment crouched beside Stryker, asking about his past. Judging from the results he obtained, it seems that the forgotten memories in the past are not so beautiful. Stryker's son was sitting aside with a dazed expression on his face. At the moment, he has no control over anyone. As for the dead woman who is the killer, she is still controlled by Chin Hao using metal. In X-Men, there are very few faces of the East. Chin Hao knew that this woman should be from Japan. I just don't know what her identity is in it. And there are not many opponents who have the same self-healing ability as Wolverine. He looked at the woman curiously. Definitely, a little bit because this woman looks okay. Compared with others, it is more in line with Chin Hao's aesthetics. The dead woman looked at Chin Hao who was approaching, with doubts on her face. It was as if she had no idea why she was here. Have you recovered? Chin Hao asked softly. The other party nodded. The one-eyed dragon and Charles controlled by Stryker's son have all recovered, and this woman with super recovery ability, at the moment, has finally recovered. Hearing this, Chin Hao slightly loosened the metal binding the other party. After the dead woman was able to move, she seemed to be in some pain. Did you not feel any pain when you were controlled? Chin Hao muttered to himself. He stretched out his hand, ready to straighten the dead woman. At the moment, he still has a lot of questions that he hasn't figured out yet. He didn't know the past of the dead woman in the movie. What if this woman volunteered to serve as Stryker's servant? It would be troublesome to let her go directly like that. Ding. The self-healing ability of the dead woman was detected, which can strengthen the host's own self-healing ability, whether it is bound to strengthening. The moment his hand touched the dead woman, a system voice sounded. Can the dead woman's self-healing strengthen her own self-healing? A thought that surprised him appeared in Chin Hao's mind following the prompt. The same ability can be strengthening. This is simply a show of heaven. Just for the self-healing ability, he knew that there were Sabretooth and Deadpool. At that time, if he continues to strengthen self-healing, what will happen in the end? Bind. His consciousness immediately opened his own system panel. 1. Longevity. 24 years, 1,500 years, your life level has broken a certain limit. 4. Self-healing, strengthening +1. When the body is traumatized, it can recover quickly, delay aging and prolong life. His lifespan reached a terrifying 1,500 years. This is equivalent to an increase of more than 600 years from his original lifespan of 888 years. This feeling is simply not too cool. And a strengthening +1 appeared behind his self-healing ability. It is clearly marked, at the moment his condition. Self-healing can strengthen, other abilities may also be able to strengthen. Next, he has more goals. The dead girl at the moment looked at Chin Hao with an ugly face. After Chin Hao stretched out his hand to her body, he froze. She knew that her clothes were only this thin layer. Could this guy be a pervert? Hello. The deaf female voice spoke in a somewhat unfriendly manner. Although she is controlled by Chin Hao, it doesn't mean she doesn't have her own temper. Oh, sorry, I was distracted. Chin Hao spoke excitedly at the moment. The death girl looked at the other person, as if she had seen something particularly interesting. But just now, Chin Hao only came into contact with herself. Could it be that this guy wants to treat himself as his trophy? Many people have this hobby. This guy has good strength, but his thoughts seem to be a little bad. Various thoughts kept echoing in the dead woman's mind. Forget it. Let them handle you. Maybe Professor X can get some rare information from your mind. After Chin Hao straightened the dead girl, he chose to leave directly. With the unexpected joy of strengthening self-healing. At the moment, he doesn't care what the other party is doing. Even at the moment he ran to Magneto's side, looking at him with regret. Hey man. Let Sabretooth go to waste. I just don't know where Sabretooth from at the moment went. He shook his head and came to the front of the cockpit. This time, Phoenix didn't overuse her powers. Phoenix Force is not out of control either. Her chance to transform into Dark Phoenix seems to be delayed a lot. This is very good, let yourself bind a little more power first. Then come bind her Phoenix Force. Chin has a strange feeling. It seemed that this time he somehow got rid of a dangerous thing. But no matter how she thought, she couldn't figure out what danger she was getting rid of. Everyone returned to Professor X's school smoothly. This time, Charles probably will have a good chat with Magneto again. Chin Hao doesn't care about these things. By the way, I'm going back. See you tomorrow. Someone will come with me to bring the other little mutants back. He glanced at Professor X's school and said to everyone. He remembered this place, and he could open the door to come here at any time later. Moreover, he has calculated it all. Come here tomorrow to bind Professor X's mind ability. With the huge mental ability of Professor X, his spiritual shortcomings are filled. When the time comes, his soul astral ability will be even more powerful. I'm with you, I'll bring the others back. Steel volunteered. Let's go. ZZZ. A door of secret technique was instantly formed in front of Chin Hao. On the other side of the door is Kamar Taj. This time, Chin Hao came out for 2 days. He didn't know what Master Ancient One would do when he went back. But with Steel taking the blame for himself, he thought he shouldn't be severely punished. The most is to be locked in the mirror dimension for a few days. But now that he has the bound, sling ring, he is not afraid. As soon as Chin Hao's portal opened, someone sensed it from Kamar Taj. The figure of Ancient One quickly came to the place where Chin Hao opened the door. You ran away again. Your brother Moto has been looking for you for a long time. Ancient One seemed a little annoyed, but seeing Steel behind him, her aura restrained a lot. She knew that Chin Hao must have been involved in mutants' affairs. She was more angry because she was worried about the safety of her apprentice. She is very clear about the strength of the apprentice. He only learned separation of spirit and body, and the gate of secret law, that he learned only a few days ago. And because Chin Hao was not taught fighting skills. So Chin Hao is a crappy mage who can only open doors. Without any offense and defense. No, he has a very powerful self-healing ability. With such a strong self-healing ability, it is actually difficult for him to want to die. However, she was still worried, because this is a seedling of Supreme Mage. It's a shame that a future supreme mage has to rely on resilience to resist. It seems that next, she will start teaching Qin Hao more practical skills. You can't learn magic, but you must learn melee combat. Otherwise, if even common people can bully him, wouldn't it be too embarrassing for me, the supreme mage? In that instant, Ancient One thought of many things. Master Ancient One, look, I'm fine. This time, I'm here to send those little mutants back to Xavier's school. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he still winked at Steel and made an expression. Steel was watching the mysterious and powerful Eastern mage. At the moment, like a child who did something wrong, it's a real eye-pop. Think about what they did wrong. In fact, it seems to be the same in front of Professor X. He understood instantly. Steel read the other's expression. Yes, Master. We are here to pick up Little Mutant back to Xavier's school. This time, thanks to Qin Mage's help, we saved more mutants. Here, on behalf of Xavier's school, I would like to express my gratitude to Mage in the East. Steel at the moment sincerely expressed his thanks to Ancient One. This actually made Ancient One a little embarrassed. She couldn't possibly say that what I didn't want him to participate in was that he ran away quietly. I am the Supreme Mage anyway, if I can't even control my apprentice. If this news gets out, there will be no one to provoke him crazily. Okay, I see. Next, you can leave with those little mutants. Wait until Mutant happily leaves. Ancient One's face instantly became a little serious. But before she came, she hurriedly spoke. Qin Hao spoke again. Master, look at this thing, can it be enchanted? This thing can no longer be destroyed after cooling down. He took the dagger and handed it to Ancient One Mage. Ancient One took over this short sword made by adamantium. This material has strong penetration and almost indestructible hardness, but its characteristics also make it difficult to use on the magic side. Where did you come from? When I went to help, I made it with the adamantium that was there at the time. You did it? Yes, I did. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he stretched out his hand to a copper cup placed on the scene. Immediately afterwards, the copper cup floated into his hand. Then, under the gaze of Ancient One, it slowly changed its shape. Alchemy. A word came out of Ancient One's mouth. At the moment, she was extremely shocked. Obviously she didn't teach Qin Hao alchemy. Why did Qin Hao suddenly master this skill? The point is, the opponent's alchemy is obviously not Kamar Taj's. As this alchemy? Qin Hao is not familiar with what Kamar Taj's alchemy is all about. He only knows that some magic is too powerful, mages can only inject it into objects, and let them bear the burden that mage cannot bear. This process of infusion is alchemy. Because items are infused with magic, they will have properties that common items do not. This item is a magic item. Not as good as his sling ring, jumping boots. And this refining produces a very powerful change. It can even make magic items spiritual, like a levitating cloak. So he was a little confused, like this kind of refining that just changes the shapeshifting, as also alchemy? This can be called alchemy on the technological side. Ancient One Mage nodded, then shook his head again. That is, it is not alchemy as we call it on Kamar Taj. Qin Hao confirmed again. No, our alchemy is on the magic side. It produces some incomprehensible effects that cannot be explained by science. But with your hand, you will become a master on the technology side. With this skill alone, he will become the most sought-after talent in scientific research and trial production. I really didn't expect that you could get such an ability after going down the mountain. Ancient One at the moment is a heartfelt appreciation to Qin Hao. She couldn't see Qin Hao's detailed future and fragments. So she didn't know how Qin Hao obtained these abilities. Haha, I just said it. I really didn't go down the mountain to play. I can really learn good things down the mountain. You were lucky this time, and you thought your luck would always be this good? Starting today, I will train you for combat and hand over your sling ring to me. When Qin Hao heard Ancient One's words, he felt that all the time he had spent was wasted. But he didn't care. Surrender the sling ring and he can summon it back later. In addition, I want to conduct an assessment on you to see your progress in practice. Ancient One at the moment suddenly thought of something. This guy, go out and change once. At the moment she wanted to know what Qin Hao had learned. After she finished speaking, she waved her hand, and a mirror dimension appeared in front of her eyes. The two entered the mirror dimension. Attack me, let me see your skills. After Ancient One finished speaking, the two protective shields in his hands formed instantly. She wanted to personally test Qin Hao's strength. Master Ancient One, are you sure? Qin Hao asked with a dagger in his hand. Playing against Ancient One, I don't know what level one can play now. I'm sure, come on. Ancient One took a fighting stance. Qin Hao has made up his mind, this time he wants to reveal his ability to Ancient One. The main thing is to get the right to go down the mountain at will. He thought it all over, and went to X-Men school every day to touch a mutant's ability. This thing is too skillful. Besides, anyway, even if I revealed it today, I can add a new one tomorrow. My whole cards have been growing constantly. After learning all the abilities from the X-Men, I guess my own strength is already unbelievably strong. Marvel is so big, and there are so many powerful characters, it can be slowly bound by then. I'm here, Master Ancient One, be careful. As soon as Qin Hao finished speaking, the dagger in his hand was constantly flying in the air. Flying sword. Shesh, shesh, rapid tearing air sounds. Phaegian went straight to Ancient One. Ancient One waved the magic shield in his hand, and the flying sword and the magic shield collided fiercely. Feeling the power coming from his hands, Ancient One's expression became a lot more serious. This disciple surpassed most of the disciples on Kamar Taj Mountain with just one hand. When the other disciples were doing magic, Qin Hao's flying sword could definitely pierce the opponent's chest. This is the difference between instant and reading. Just based on this, it's not enough. Ancient One decided to stimulate Qin Hao one more time. She wanted to see the extent of Qin Hao's strength. Really? Then some more. Just as Qin Hao finished speaking, 4 flying swords flew out from behind him. These 4 flying swords are still the traditional oriental 3-foot-long swords like Qingfeng. A total of 5 flying swords are constantly flying in the mirror space. They have only one goal: Ancient One Mage. This time, Ancient One Mage became a lot more formal. The 2 magic shields in his hands waved impenetrably. All attacks were blocked outside. With this skill alone, you are already a master in the secular world. Ancient One finally started to praise Qin Hao. However, this alone is not enough to go on in my hands. As soon as the shield in her hand changed, countless magic whips flew out. Bind the 5 wind swords tightly. The indestructible adamantium, at the moment, was bound by magic. No matter how Qin Hao used it, he couldn't break away from Ancient One's magic whip. Hee, is that right? What about this? After Qin Hao finished speaking, his body began to gradually transform. A layer of hoarfrost hung on his body surface. In his hand, a stream of cold air shot towards Ancient One. Icemans, frozen. The cold air directly covered Ancient One Mage's magic whip, and Qin Hao's own flying sword was also covered with ice crystals. In just a few seconds, the temperature of this mirror space has plummeted. Ancient One even felt the slightest chill, affected by this extreme cold air. The magical energy drawn from other dimensions began to crumble. The magic whip that originally restrained the flying sword finally shone, and the flame disappeared. I really didn't expect that you still have such a powerful force. This power seems to come from another mutant, but you don't have an X gene. A human being who has learned the mutant's ability and uses magic to complete the mutant's power is the real essence of magic. That alone makes you a genius. Ancient One felt the collapse of the magic whip in his hand. Although she can produce countless magic whips with a wave of her hand. But since Qin Hao has cracked this trick, she will not use it again. Genius or not, let's not talk about it, Master Ancient One, let's watch my attack next. Qin Hao once again gained control of Phaegian. The flying sword regained its mobility and continued to stab at Ancient One. The cold air in his hand was still spraying out. The double attack of the flying sword in the cold air, what will Ancient One use to resist this time? But then, Ancient One told him that a master is a master. She stomped her foot, and the entire mirror space expanded infinitely. Qin Hao's body retreated quickly. The chill that could have attacked Ancient One, at the moment has been completely untouchable. The flying sword that was about to be stabbed was thrown away without knowing where it went. It has to be said that the ability to flip the space at will in the mirror space is really too powerful. Qin Hao hadn't learned the ability to activate the mirror dimension until at the moment. It's such a pity. Like now, Ancient One has flipped the mirror dimension, leaving him endlessly far away. It becomes difficult for him to attack Ancient One. You dissected the power of mutant with the power of magic, which is really powerful. However, you haven't even learned the most basic magic of our Kamar Taj yet. Going to study other things now is really a bit of a waste of time. Ancient One stood gracefully on the spot, watching the space on Qin Hao's side constantly fold. The flying sword was always so far away from Ancient One. The rapidly gushing cold air still couldn't touch it. Qin Hao stopped. Some helplessly looked at Ancient One. Master Ancient One, next I will fully release my ability. As for how far it can go, I don't know. But since this is the mirror dimension, it should be able to withstand this force. Master Ancient One, if something unusual happens next, please stop me, Master. Qin Hao stood still, looked at Ancient One and said very seriously. It was rare for Ancient One to see this apprentice so serious, which made her even more curious about what Qin Hao was going to do. At the moment he has shown two abilities, magnetic control and freezing. Is there a more terrifying ability that has not been used? Qin Hao took a deep breath. Then he tried to change the state of his body like organic ice, that is, to turn his body into ice. This is Iceman's second form. But no matter how hard Qin Hao tried, he couldn't do it. Steel cannot be bound by itself, nor can Mystique, and the Iceman ability that is bound now cannot enter the second state by itself. This system seems to have to maintain its own human form all the time. Any ability that involves changing one's appearance or state seems to be restricted. Why is that? A question appeared in Qin Hao's mind. What's wrong? Can't use it? Ancient One asked from a distance. She was also worried that something was wrong with Qin Hao. It's okay, it's just an attempt, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Although Qin Hao was a little disappointed, this did not affect what Qin Hao was going to do next. That state can give Iceman a lot more ability. I don't need it, I just need to do one thing. Immediately afterwards, Qin Hao released his ability with all his strength. Frozen. Endless coldness spread from his body. In the blink of an eye, the temperature around him dropped tens of degrees, and it was still dropping constantly. Absolute zero. After spending a lot of time, Qin Hao finally lowered the temperature directly to absolute zero. And this terrifying temperature is spreading out along the mirror space. The Ancient One controls mirror dimensions, but at the moment her heart was shocked. Absolute zero. This is absolutely absolute zero. Is he trying to freeze everything? Under the shocking eyes of Ancient One, the mirror dimension he manipulated was quickly covered by the solid ice that was generated out of thin air. Absolute zero. Freeze molecular motion. The entire mirror space could have been expanded infinitely. But now they are all frozen by Qin Hao. You froze the mirror space. The shocking voice of Ancient One sounded.